Alright, so Icelyn versus Frostallion. And we're not really going to be including Ashrobe Christ in this comparison because it's just straight up worse than the other two options. Not going to go too deep into why. It's just slow, not great stats, doesn't boost its own damage, just nothing really going for it compared to these other two. A bit of a weird choice, but let's not get into that. Let's do Icelyn against Frostallion. So a bit of an unfair comparison because just looking at the partner skills, we got Icelyn. Changes your element to ice, just like Vixen and Anubis while fighting alongside you. The boost is a little bit lower on the player attack, but it has the benefit that you can dodge around yourself. It will be attacking by itself. It has the lower cooldown than a mounted pal because pals fighting alongside you have shorter cooldowns than pals that are mounted. So it's just a little bit easier to execute probably when you're running around fighting tower bosses and stuff like that. Then you have Frostallion. So Frostallion has probably the best partner skill in the game. It doubles ice damage while mounted. We even have Absolute Frost as a skill fruit now, so that's pretty viable. So it doubles ice damage and it gives 40% attack bonus. So it has a higher attack bonus than something like Ragnarok giving 20. So it's just an absolutely insane partner skill. So this one, Legend, available late, you're fighting mounted. This one, pretty early, you're fighting alongside it. So I'm going to jump into some tower bosses, show a little bit of how a raid looks like with the two pals, and just give kind of a fair assessment, I feel, about one pal versus the other. So let's get straight into it. Alright, so for the first comparison test, we're doing hard mode, Axel and Orserk. One attempt with Icelyn and one attempt with Frostallion, using the best player damage build I can do right now. Don't have the legendary Terra Prisma, so the green one will have to do. We got the Ice Whistle, we got the Attack Pendant, Attack Whistles, Mega Boost Gun, all the good stuff. And we're just going to go straight into the fight using two legendary overheat rifles to swap once one of them starts overheating. Not sure if that's the best way to do it, but right now it's looking very strong. So one benefit with Icelyn straight off the bat is that you don't have to aim any attacks. So you're free to just aim for headshots as much as you like. You can dodge however much you like, just strafing around. You don't have to stand still when using Pal's attacks. So overall, just an extremely fast 15-second kill on hard mode Axel and Orserk on default settings on normal. So it seems like this pal is a little bit more like versatile straight off the bat. You can do a lot of management on your own. Like you can do the dodging, you can control where you're shooting a little bit easier. Everything is shaking. That's the Reptiro event down there. Always some sort of event when you get out of this tower. So overall, Icelyn, decent attack stat. Like it does have pretty high attack stat, so nothing really lacking there. Just maybe missing out on one of these aggregates that would have doubled damage, but it's still a really strong looking pal here, and I don't really think it managed to get out more than 3 attacks, so Serenity and Vampiric probably not necessary here. Hopefully they scale these tower bosses up a little bit so the fights actually last more than one rotation, but you could swap Vampiric and Serenity here for even something like Siren of the Void and like Musclehead or whatever, like just going pure attack build. So again, looking pretty decent on the player attack boost as well. Player attack does run into diminishing returns when you're stacking a lot of like pendants and stuff like that. So still 637, pretty decent. Now we're going to go in and do the exact same thing with this Frostallion here. So Frostallion will do double damage with ice, and it will give you 40% more player attack. But the downside here is that while you're mounted up using attacks, you can't move around, so you are going to get hit by whatever the boss is aiming at, either you or the pal. No way to really get around that if you want to be using the pal's attacks at the same time. And then we also have this, like, if you want to aim Double Blizzard Spike and Diamond Rain, then it's a bit tricky to go for headshots because they will overshoot the boss, so you end up shooting at the base instead. So this one also ended up with a 15-second kill time. Now maybe you could have achieved a better, like, peak DPS time with Frostallion, but I feel like that would have kind of been not the point of the video. This was just going in and using the pals like a regular way, not doing 10 attempts to get the absolute best time. So I feel like Icelyn is just a little bit easier to use against these tower bosses. You are losing out on about 100 attack power, which is, like, it is a decent amount of attack that you're missing out on, and you're not doing double damage with your ice attacks. But I feel like just being able to just go for headshots with that overheat rifle and just not getting like stunned by electric skills and stuff like that kind of made up for it. And then again with Frostallion here, you could have skipped Serenity just because I'm not even sure if I managed to use all 3 skills in this 15-second time. So for tower bosses, I would probably rate Icelyn higher, as well as you are able to get Icelyn at level 10, so you can actually fight like normal Axel and Orserk. You can bring it to your first Jet Dragon fight. There are a couple of Dragon pals that are nice to bring this pal to. So I decided to set up a little bit of a raid. I have some random pals as a raid army, just gonna do the normal Xenolord to kind of show the difference. So we did the tower boss test, now it's time for the raid test. The mega boost gun, I feel like if I'd been trying to shoot all 15 pals, it would probably have worn off on the first pal, so I'm just gonna ignore the mega boost gun in this raid attempt completely. But it's a multi-guided missile launcher and a plasma cannon, simply because I don't have the core element to use the overheat rifle for every single raid attempt. Still, multi-guided is very automatable, and I do have a lot of plasma cannon cartridges just left over. So Walaska just taking off. So this is one of the problems with using a like fighting on the ground pal. It's kind of tricky to see. You're not going to be able to really land the headshots the same way either, because the boss is like turning around. That's a little bit easier from the air. As for Icelyn itself, I feel like it's pretty nice that it's fighting alongside you, because when you're fighting with Frostallion, you're probably not using that many attacks. Like you could. It's nice with Frostallion that you could wipe out these ads that spawn. But overall here for a raid scenario, it's getting a little bit chaotic to be fighting on the ground. And this is just the normal version. The ultra version will have even more ads that it summons. More stuff going on. I don't even know where Icelyn is in this video. It's somewhere. It's doing its best somewhere. Can we spot it somewhere? Kinda hard to see. I can't see Icelyn anywhere. Do I have any sort of indicator where it is? Oh. Oh, I think maybe that was it. There it is. I heard it. It's over there on the left side. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in raids, especially if you like had 15 Neptilius or you're doing Cosmic Meteor. Perfect timing with the Terra Prisma breaking at the end of the fight. So overall, a bit of chaos fighting on foot. Like if you compare to this as an old Faybreak video, just to show that when you're airborne on a Frostallion, it's a bit easier to see what's going on. A bit easier to just go for headshots because you can actually see Xenolord's head. And then another thing, if you're fighting with like 0 base pals, you can see Frostallion here. This is the other Frostallion, the speedy Frostallion that I have. It can actually outrun like Satellite, Bit, Fireball and all that stuff. So just gonna show a quick comparison of fighting a raid boss on foot. Now the current patch, I think, is a little bit bugged when it comes to these raid bosses. Because they kind of like just run up and start tackling you and stuff like that. So exactly like this. And I don't feel like this used to happen at all. So just fighting on foot doesn't really seem that viable. Maybe if you had like a Verdash, but that kind of defeats the purpose of this Icelyn test. So just fighting raid bosses on foot. Maybe I could have included like a grapple Gale Claw thing to kind of outspeed these attacks. But in general, Xenolord has a lot of attacks that are undodgeable if you're fighting on foot. If you're not doing a bunch of grapple tricks and some other tricks as well. Like you could fight Libero on foot, no problem. And you could fight Rio on foot, no problem as well. But fighting Xenolord on foot is a little bit tricky. And that's especially once he starts summoning his ads. So overall, like in this kind of raid scenario, I don't really feel like Icelyn is the way to go. But raids are pretty late game. So instead of going like Frostallion versus Icelyn, I would probably consider like going like Icelyn is the phase 1 pal. And then you have your Frostallion as like the phase 2 in your gameplay. So Icelyn you can start catching at level 10. Frostallion you then start using once you do get to that legendary stage. So we're going to be moving on to the summary. Icelyn, you can catch it. I think it starts even at level 10. You can start catching this pal. The stats are good. It doesn't have like bad stats. It has 115 attack, which is mainly what I'm looking at for party pals. Is only the attack stat. The bulk, you know, it's nice, but you're always like either you can withdraw dodge or you're holding aggro yourself. So mainly about attack, and it's not terrible. The partner skill, 30% less attack bonus to the player. Does kind of add up, but as you saw in that tower boss video, it doesn't really matter when you include all the other factors like having to aim double blizzard spike and blizzard spike, shearing the buttons, like you can't move around while shooting or while using the skills on Frostallion. So overall, I probably, this one for tower bosses, maybe even for your first Jet Dragon fight, it's quite nice. Then we have two different builds here. So this was the tower boss fighter and the one I like to use when I have base pals, and this one to just outspeed Xenolord's attacks. I feel like this is pretty much the only viable pal right now to do solo Xenolord kills. As you saw in the comparison video, it just doesn't really work out when Xenolord is tackling you, summoning all those ads that have the jumping claw and everything. So overall, they serve different purposes, I would say. It's not like a straight up comparison, because this one, I just prefer fighting alongside my pal in a tower boss scenario. And then this one on paper looks super good with that double ice damage stuff. But if you think about the cooldowns, like the mounted cooldowns are way longer than pals fighting alongside you. So yes, it does double damage, a nice burst damage. Like it might one-shot the Xenoguards in raids. But in a tower boss scenario, the pals fighting alongside you actually end up doing more damage than the ones that have these mounted bonuses just over time. But now the fights are just so short that it doesn't really matter. And I feel like in the end, it's mostly this overheat rifle and Terra Prisma with super effective damage really doing the majority of the carrying. I'm not really sure like how much these pals are adding. If I set them to idle mode, I don't think it would make a huge difference in the kill time there. So just like my assessment of these, or my brief overview becoming pretty long. This one for tower boss fights, and these two for raids. And this one as well, while you're leveling, very nice to bring to your first like Axel fight there around level 40. The trust system also kind of offsets the stat differences a bit. So we got this new trust system. It's very nice for these like a little bit lower stat, I guess, lower stat pals. So that's it for Icelyn. I thought it was a very fun pal to use in the tower boss fights. Been wanting one of these to fight alongside me just because I don't really like the clunkiness of the mounted combat. I just prefer these fighting alongside you pals. But not for raids, I guess. So that's it. Thanks for watching.